Hey Yankees fans, we have a ton of news to unpack today, and it's all about one of the biggest stories of the offseason, Cody Bellinger and the New York Yankees. There's been so much back and forth over his contract talks, and it seems like both sides are at a stalemate. From what we know, Bellinger is looking for a 7-year deal, which the Yankees are hesitant to meet. In fact, it's believed that the longest term the team is willing to go for Bellinger is 5 years. Money is also part of the issue. The Yankees reportedly offered him somewhere in the range of $30 to $32 million per season, while Bellinger's camp is targeting $36 to $37 million. That gap alone has created a serious roadblock in negotiations, and now the Yankees appear ready to move on if no compromise can be reached. The latest reports indicate that the Yankees are starting to explore other options for their roster. While Bellinger was a strong contributor last season, the team seems prepared to shift focus toward other free agents or trade opportunities. Names like Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette have emerged as potential targets, which suggests that the Yankees are keeping their options open and are serious about upgrading the roster. It's interesting because even though Bellinger has the versatility to play multiple positions, including both corner outfield spots, center field, and even first base if necessary, the team might be calculating that it's better to invest in players who provide more consistency or long-term value. Now, let's break down the financial context a little more. Cody Bellinger's asking price is high compared to similar players who recently signed significant deals. For example, Alex Bregman, Alonso, and Schwarber all signed 5-year deals around the same age as Bellinger, which makes a 7-year commitment feel a bit unrealistic, especially considering Bellinger's career has been somewhat up and down. He's had flashes of brilliance, but he's also experienced stretches of inconsistency that make long-term guarantees a risky proposition. Even though he's a tremendously talented and versatile player, the Yankees have to weigh that risk carefully, particularly when other high-caliber players are available at a similar or slightly higher cost. There's also the question of leverage. Some analysts believe that the Yankees might be using reports about moving on from Bellinger as a strategic play. By signaling that they're willing to pivot to players like Tucker or Bichette, they could be trying to pressure Bellinger into lowering his demands. It's a common negotiation tactic in sports, where showing a willingness to walk away can influence a player's approach. However, this approach is only effective if Bellinger truly wants to return to the Yankees and values staying with the team over securing the maximum contract possible. If he's set on his terms and no team matches that, the Yankees might simply move on and target someone like Tucker, who brings tremendous upside and a high ceiling for production. Speaking of Tucker, he's an incredible talent and would fit perfectly in New York. Even considering that he had a slightly down year last season, his overall numbers are outstanding. Over the past 6 seasons, he's consistently ranked among the top hitters in baseball, with an OPS of .841 and an OPS plus of 143 in his recent season. He's capable of hitting 35 to 40 home runs in a single season, and Yankee Stadium is a park that could really amplify his power numbers. Compared to Bellinger, Tucker offers not only consistency, but also the potential for sustained high-level performance over the long term. Investing in a player like Tucker could pay off more reliably, even if it means spending a bit more financially than what the Yankees had initially planned for Bellinger. Another point to consider is how the Yankees evaluate risk. Bellinger's history shows a roller coaster performance pattern. While he's incredibly talented, he's also had seasons where his OPS dipped significantly. For instance, his .654 OPS in 2022 with the Dodgers or his .750 OPS in 2024 with the Cubs demonstrates the volatility in his production. That kind of unpredictability makes committing 7 years at $36 or $37 million per season a tough decision for any team, no matter how talented the player is. From a strategic standpoint, it can be argued that the Yankees might get better long-term value by targeting a player who has shown more consistency, even if the ceiling is slightly lower in theory. It's also important to acknowledge the human side of this situation. Bellinger has expressed a clear desire to stay in New York, and that matters in negotiations. The team has to balance respecting the player's wishes with making a practical and financially responsible decision. If the Yankees give in completely to his demands, they might be locking themselves into a deal that could backfire if he experiences a down season. On the other hand, if they pivot to Tucker or Bichette, they are essentially prioritizing team performance and roster flexibility over sentiment, which is a delicate but necessary aspect of roster management at this level. There's a lot of speculation about whether Bellinger might eventually accept a lower offer to stay with the Yankees. Some believe that once he sees the team actively pursuing other options, he might reconsider his stance and settle for a deal closer to the team's preferred terms. But until that happens, it seems the Yankees are preparing to explore other avenues to strengthen the roster. This could mean pursuing trades or signings that ultimately give them more long-term stability and offensive firepower. While it would be a shame to see Bellinger leave, the decision comes down to balancing potential, consistency, and financial strategy. In the meantime, fans are left to wonder what the Yankees' next move will be. Will they pivot fully to Kyle Tucker? Will Bo Bichette become a serious target? Or will Bellinger make a last-minute adjustment to his contract expectations? All of these questions create a tense but fascinating narrative in the offseason, and it's clear that the Yankees' front office is thinking several steps ahead. They're evaluating not just talent but fit, upside, and financial responsibility in a market where the cost of getting it wrong can be extremely high. What makes this even more compelling is that Kyle Tucker and Bellinger are not just numbers on paper. They're players whose strengths and weaknesses have real implications for the Yankees' offensive output. Tucker's power, ability to hit in all counts, and overall consistency could translate to a lineup that is both deep and dangerous, while Bellinger's versatility is valuable but comes with more variability. The strategic decision here is a classic example of weighing upside versus stability. Fans also need to consider the history of similar situations. Players like Curtis Granderson, when he joined the Yankees, suddenly saw a boost in performance thanks to the stadium and environment. That's exactly what Tucker could experience. His ceiling in New York could be higher than anything Bellinger has shown, particularly in a long-term deal scenario. The potential for 35 to 40 home runs a year, combined with consistent offensive production, could make Tucker a transformative addition to the lineup, one that pays dividends over multiple seasons rather than one or two standout campaigns. Looking deeper into Kyle Tucker, it becomes clear why the Yankees are so intrigued by him. Even in a season that was considered a down year, Tucker's performance was better than Bellinger's in several key metrics. His OPS and OPS Plus were both higher, indicating that his offensive production was more consistent and impactful over the course of the season. Beyond the numbers, Tucker has the ability to be a cornerstone player for a team like the Yankees. He can play multiple outfield positions, handle pressure at the plate, and consistently deliver power. He's the kind of player who can take advantage of the dimensions and conditions of Yankee Stadium in a way that might even surpass what Bellinger has accomplished in the past. The contrast between Bellinger and Tucker highlights an important aspect of baseball roster management: predictability versus potential. Bellinger offers versatility and flashes of brilliance, but his career trajectory has been more of a roller coaster. One season he's hitting well over .800 OPS. The next he's struggling in the .650 to .750 range. For a team like the Yankees, who operate in a high-pressure environment with championship aspirations, that unpredictability can be a liability. Tucker, on the other hand, has shown a higher floor, which means even if he doesn't have a career year, the team can count on him to produce at a high level consistently. That stability is incredibly valuable when you're trying to build a team that can contend year after year. Another factor is the financial implications. Bellinger's request for $36 to $37 million per season over 7 years is not only steep, it also locks the Yankees into a long-term commitment with a player whose production can fluctuate significantly. If the team were to pivot to Tucker, they would likely be paying a comparable or slightly higher salary, but the value they receive in terms of offensive output, consistency, and positional flexibility could far outweigh the risk. Essentially, the Yankees are weighing the potential reward of Bellinger's versatility against the more predictable and possibly higher impact contribution of Tucker. In scenarios like this, teams often prioritize stability because it allows them to plan their lineup, budget, and future acquisitions with more confidence. It's also worth considering Bo Bichette in this discussion. While the conversation often focuses on the outfield, Bichette provides a different type of value as an infielder. His offensive production, combined with his defensive versatility, makes him an intriguing option for the Yankees if they are seeking to reshape their roster beyond just replacing Bellinger. While Tucker is likely the premium option in terms of power and offensive ceiling, Bichette could provide balance and flexibility to the infield, potentially allowing the Yankees to optimize matchups, defensive alignments, and lineup construction. That kind of flexibility is often overlooked, but can be the difference between a good team and a championship-caliber team. The timing of these negotiations is another interesting piece of the puzzle. Off-season strategy in Major League Baseball is a delicate balancing act. Teams must assess player availability, market value, and roster needs simultaneously. For the Yankees, waiting too long could mean losing out on key targets, while rushing could result in overpaying for a player like Bellinger. The narrative that they might pivot to Tucker or Bichette also serves as a subtle negotiation tactic. By signaling that they are willing to move on, they increase pressure on Bellinger to reconsider his terms. But at the same time, they keep their options open, which is a smart move in a market where the stakes are high and every decision can have a ripple effect on the team's competitiveness. Looking at the bigger picture, this situation illustrates the complexity of roster management in baseball. It's not just about talent. It's about fit, consistency, potential, and financial prudence. Bellinger is undeniably talented and has moments where he can carry a team offensively, but the Yankees must ask themselves whether those moments justify a long-term commitment at a high cost. Tucker offers similar upside with more predictability, while Bichette offers a different type of value that complements the rest of the roster. Every decision is a calculation, and the front office has to weigh short-term excitement against long-term sustainability. There's also the fan perspective to consider. Yankees fans are passionate and vocal, and the idea of losing Bellinger might be disappointing. He's been a recognizable figure in the lineup, and his ability to play multiple positions has made him a fan favorite. However, when evaluating talent objectively, the numbers suggest that a player like Tucker could elevate the team in ways Bellinger might not consistently be able to. For fans, the challenge is understanding that the best decision for the team isn't always the most sentimental one. Sometimes it's about maximizing the team's overall performance, even if it means saying goodbye to a popular player. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Whispers have begun to circulate around the Bronx that the man in the Yankees dugout may be reaching a breaking point. According to people said to be close to Aaron Boone, the manager has privately vented that accepting the job in New York might have been the worst mistake of my life. A startling admission from someone long viewed as calm under fire. The comments, shared in confidence with friends, have fueled speculation that Boone is quietly weighing the unthinkable, asking to step away from one of the most scrutinized positions in American sports. Boone's relationship with pressure is not new. A former big league infielder who spent more than a decade on the field, he arrived in New York carrying both pedigree and promise. Yet managing the Yankees is a different arena entirely, where every decision is magnified and every slump becomes a referendum on leadership. Insiders suggest that the constant noise, from talk radio to social media to relentless headlines, has begun to erode the sense of purpose that once energized him. Those familiar with the situation say Boone feels trapped between the expectations of a demanding fan base and the realities of a modern clubhouse. He is said to believe that no amount of preparation shields a manager from being cast as the face of frustration when things fail to align. In private conversations, he has reportedly questioned whether the role allows him to be the leader he envisioned, or whether the environment itself makes that impossible. The Yankees, for their part, have offered no indication of instability, and Boone continues to project professionalism in public. Still, rumors persist that the emotional toll has been heavier than many realize. Some around the organization believe the idea of resignation is less about surrender and more about reclaiming control, a pause to reassess before resentment hardens. For now, nothing is official, and those closest to Boone caution that venting does not equal intent. Yet in a city where perception often becomes reality, even the suggestion that the manager is contemplating an exit adds another layer of intrigue. Whether this is merely a moment of exhaustion or the first crack in a long tenure remains an open question, one that will linger as long as the pressure in New York refuses to ease. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.